Hi, my name is Jake Gottfried. You probably already knew that. Anyways, basically, if you watch my other reviews, you know I take 10 minutes to talk about just one movie, and here I'm talking about 3 movies, in just one video. And the reason for that is that because these are movies I want to talk about, and I did see earlier this year, but I didn't think there was too much to talk about, so I decided that, I would just not do a review for it. And, I thought, I can't exclude movies I did see this year, so I decided I'd just do one video talking about these 3 movies as short as I can. Maybe I'll do this more in the future. It saves me more time because, I do have a life to live, so... But regardless, I just hope these reviews, despite not being as detailed as they could be, are still, informative and do a good job giving you an idea of what I think of this movie and maybe what you might be interested in watching. And yes, so I almost wish I scripted this intro, so therefore I have a good idea what to say before we begin each review. Up first, The Invisible Thread. I originally saw The Invisible Thread, a 2022 Italian film distributed by Netflix day of release, which was March 4th, the same weekend The Batman Fresh came out. But unlike those movies, I didn't really have that much to talk about, so I didn't think I should have reviewed it, considering I didn't know what there was to talk about, that would last a full review. But I was thinking of doing short reviews that I could just write a paragraph about, to save myself time, because I have a life, and there's stuff to do. And why not talk about The Invisible Thread now, because I'm sure it's totally relevant to discuss. To be completely fair, I legitimately want to talk about this movie and give it somewhat of a spotlight, but I feel like I'm not the proper guy to do that. But with all that said, back to the review. But yeah, I did watch it a month ago, so I am reviewing it based on memory somewhat, but it won't be that hard. My opinion hasn't really changed since. I'm doing it based on what I remember objectively, rather than just having to rewatch it. And I still have my notes, so I know what I did think then. I know what I think now. So, with all that said, I should, get into the movie. The movie is written by Marco S. Piccioni and co-written and directed by Luca De Bay. And sorry if saying there's not much to talk about, it might sound rude, but I'll get into it later. But now the actual premise that's interested me in the first place. Leon, played by Francesco Gaggi, is the high school-age son of same-sex couple of 20 years, Paolo, played by Filippo Timbi, and Simone, played by Francesco Scianna. Oh, right, that's also why I didn't want to review this. I didn't want to mispronounce people's names. However, moving on. Leon lives a happy life with his parents, who had struggled for years for them to finally get to the point where they are today, but they do have many who love and support them. Yet, they have their own problems to come into the picture. Paolo discovers Simone has been cheating on him, and the two's relationship look like they'll be doomed. So all 3 now must grapple with assumptions, problems, situations, new and old, as they have to figure out what their family is and has become. It's what it sounds like. A decent film with melodrama that has more good jokes and bad, sweet moments, but nothing worthy of an Oscar. It's been a while, so I don't remember the dialogue all too well, but I do remember laughing more times than not, and I do remember liking the story and characters. Nothing was complex or necessarily phenomenal, but I do remember having a good time, seeing how each of them dealt with the situation, Leon himself getting close to a crush. And sure, it's somewhat predictable and still full of melodrama, but honestly, I don't really care. I don't know if I rewatch it at all, though. I mean, it has been a month, so probably not. But yes, I do think it was good enough to not just be some mediocre film to put on, or something I just put on to waste time. It's above that. I just think the movie is what it is, and does a good job at it. Nothing more, nothing less, and as what it means to be a family, let alone a family in a modern world. There's melodrama, there's laughs, and I do recommend the movie. I give The Invisible Thread a 6 out of 10. Up next, Jackass Forever. Just to be clear, this is the first Jackass movie I've ever seen, so for any comment I saw saying this felt old or they were running out of ideas, I don't care. I had a good time watching this on Paramount Plus. I really don't care. I did say Paramount Plus, so yeah, I didn't see this in theaters since I really didn't care for it at the time, which did really well at the box office though, so I'm glad it did do that. But I didn't know if I should go, considering this being my type of humor or not. I mean, this is the 4th Jackass movie, so I could have watched the others, but last year I did see a movie in the same vein, I guess, as this film called Bad Trip, which was a movie starring Eric Andre, who's also in this movie, where they connect a story through real-life pranks or stunts. Other people around them are unaware they're in Jackass-type jokes, which wasn't really funny since, well, I do believe they didn't fake the people's reactions. Everyone looked and said like, what? you know, in a funny way. It was more of they were just like mildly annoyed, so like that kind of face. So I wasn't sure how I would go into this. Directed by Jeff Tremaine, the movie follows the Jackass crew, some news, everyone else you know, I think, such as Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, and so forth, just doing a series of stunts to earn themselves for our entertainment. And it was very entertaining for me. The movie was hilarious. Me and my brother watched it and laughed every time. Not to say this is the funniest thing I'd ever seen, but a good comedy makes every joke work, and this is no exception. So, honestly, it's probably the funniest thing I saw so far this year. It never got boring or tiring, and each sketch tops the previous one. There were many in the trailer I saw that, despite knowing either the setup or outcome ahead of time, I still found each stunner prank hilarious. I'm not saying that anything that's new, probably. I mean, I'm watching this on Paramount Plus. Everyone else who wanted to watch this saw it in theaters. But what makes this work compared to Bad Trip is that it's clear no matter how ridiculous, insane, or frustrating doing one of these movies look like, everyone looks like they are having a good time, despite how much in pain they must be. Also, there's more penises than I thought. Like, the way it opens, the skip with the bees, the jockstrap. I'm not saying anything new, I know that, but I had a great time watching this. I wonder now what going to the theaters to see this would have been like. I did like seeing this cast together, and the new ones like Rachel Wolfson and Zach Holmes, who have good comedic timing. So when they have to react to a skit they're not part of, I can just laugh at them reacting, or at least a line they say. I think this movie got more praise, as far as I know, than other movies, since it came at a time where we all just needed to laugh. And if this isn't your type of humor, where sometimes it gets so vulgar or disgusting you might barf, that's perfectly respectable. But to just see how much these people have clear looks of fear, like it's crystal clear these people are actually could have died doing these, I give my respect to this movie. I give my respect to Jackass Forever. That is a sentence I just said. I give Jackass Forever an 8 out of 10. And finally, more than robots. Well, March for Disney Plus has many new things coming for it. People are excited for sure. Like at the end of the month, we got Moon Knight. But here's something different. An original documentary directed by Gillian Jacobs. I never saw Community or a ton of other stuff she was a part, but I've seen her in some things, like the Fear Street trilogy as one example. But I didn't know she, directs, which she has done prior, but that's not what matters. I saw last year a National Geographic documentary made exclusive to Disney Plus called Own the Room, which I thought was fantastic, and considering I was in Intro to Business class last year, a movie about a global DECA-like competition was interesting to me, and those I recommended it to couldn't watch it since it was exclusive to Disney Plus, and they didn't pay for it. But this one wasn't from National Geographic, it's from Lucasfilm and Disney. The movie is about a robotics competition where the high school students around the world, part of robotics clubs, can enter the first rights reserved. It feels weird doing rights reserved with air quotes, but whatever. Robotics competition to align themselves and or compete with other teams with their own robots they have to make from scratch in 6 weeks, starting as of when they learn what the 2020's competition will be. Color me intrigued. The movie shows 4 different teams, 3 different countries, and this one agenda they all have to complete. I had no idea Lucasfilm was the production team behind this, but I was glad to see them do something not Star Wars related again. It almost got to the point where I thought the company wouldn't do anything new again, and then I learned what this year's competition was. Basically, Disney and people from Star Wars partnered with them in 2020 for a Star Wars themed competition, which isn't the same thing where in many 20th century Fox films are just shoehorning in on sale Star Wars Easter eggs to show off brainpower. It just made me roll my eyes at first, but I didn't care since that's also not what the documentary is about. It just follows 4 different teams and the people a part of the teams, whether they be the chairman, color, mentor, and so forth. With the 4 teams being 4201 Vitruvian bots, 6904 Terawatts, 6909 Sakura Tempesta, and 4010 Nautilus. And that's it. Just about 90 minutes of you seeing them work together as a team, but never a great understanding of, I guess, learning to code. The main thing they try to sell in this is that there's more to the competition than winning. It's the friends you make along the way, that thing, which they say so much it got a bit annoying since, yes, friendship and teamwork is important, but it is a competition. You should want to win, but that's not the focus, for better or worse, I guess. They do show how making these robots has impacted the lives of those involved, and I'm glad to have learned about basically one of the biggest sports-like robotics competition I don't think I would have known otherwise. So it's a learning experience about what it might take to be a part of it, but also the fact that this was made in early 2020, just before COVID happened. So when it does the climax, for lack of a better word, is much different than On the Room, but it does a good job showing with the theme of there's more to it than blank. how the people a part of these teams use robotics to help out people during these times, even if it dragged a little by the end. I'm glad I got to learn who these people are, though, the competition process, and seeing part of it myself. It's a good documentary, unless you're probably into robotics already, let alone robotic competitions. I wouldn't call it a must-watch, but it does a good job explaining what it's about and the impact it has on others you might not have known about prior. So it does a good job at what it is. It's just not perfect, but I did learn a thing or two, so hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, maybe you'll learn a thing or two too. I give More Than Robots a 7 out of 10.